What up, guys? What up? What up? I am Lou. Another day, guys. Friday night, like always, doing our thing here on the live stream. We're gonna be talking AWS. Let's see. I need to go ahead and make sure my video is updated to reflect what we're gonna be talking about. Um, is it morning? If yes, then good morning. Hey, how you doing, man? What up? What up? So it's not morning. Actually, for me, it's a nighttime. It's 9 p.m. Central. So I'm in the U.S. Central area. So I guess it's morning for you. Is it morning time for you? Switch. True. Yes, it is. Cool. That's cool, man. How's your I guess Saturday morning, right, for you? But yeah, it's evening for me. I had a long day of streaming today. I had a so on Twitch, I normally do streaming on Twitch after the live stream, and then I do some like Halo gameplay. I did a streaming earlier today on Twitch. It was at 11 a.m. through 4 p.m. my time. So this was like 12 hours ago, pretty much, or 10 hours ago, I guess. So I did a few giveaways. Gave away some RAM, DDR5, mouse, pretty much a lot of hardware. I end up giving away. Um, so if you know anybody, if you're in the need of any hardware, you can check out my Twitch channel called I Am the Real Lou, and I give away some stuff there as well. But here on my program channel here on YouTube, I do some giveaways as well too. I'm actually gonna have a giveaway next Friday. So next Friday I'm gonna have a giveaway, and normally on this giveaway I give away Amazon gift cards. So, which really doesn't matter where you're at, right? You're in the UK, India, it doesn't matter, right? Amazon's everywhere, so be able to send the gift card without any issues. Let's see. But hopefully all of y'all doing good, man. I mean, I'm doing good. I feel good, man. It was a good day. Had a good stream earlier. Had a lot of people join and attend the live stream. Got to meet a lot of new people as well. Some people I knew already. Other people I did not. So I got to meet new people. It was fun. It was really fun. Time flew by, dude. I gotta say, for being a 5-hour live stream, I gotta say time just went by so quick. It was fun. I'm excited to do it again for sure. All right, cool. Now that I have this saved, but yeah, man. Just again, I'm excited about this live stream. Fridays, like always, we're gonna talk over AWS, Lambda. What are we gonna talk about? Redshift. That's what we're gonna talk about. Moving data over from Redshift over to an S3 bucket, but we're gonna add a .csv extension to the file because it's not doing it currently right now. So your biggest giveaway is stream of knowledge that you're giving us. Hey, that's one giveaway, that's for sure. But I do like to again show some appreciation for my subscribers. So big fan. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe if you can. Man, I appreciate it. But yeah, the giveaway that I'm going to be doing here on the YouTube channel, I'm going to be doing next week would be for $50 Amazon gift card. It will be one $50 Amazon gift card, and I'll probably give away a few other like $25 Amazon gift cards. So it'll be a few giveaways. and this would happen next week. So I'm gonna have a video. Normally I release a video, just kind of let people know, like, hey, I have a giveaway, and that's how people know to kind of join as well and stuff like that. So I'll be releasing a video as well. But nevertheless, you're at least you're aware of it anyways. So even if you don't see the video, you're aware of it. You could just, if you want to, join next week, and I'll be doing the Amazon gift card giveaway for sure. We'll be talking about Redshift to S3 and Python. Just doing something real quick, and then we'll get started. Why.csv. So I actually had a subscriber of mine ask. We did the last on our last week's stream, where we extracted the data from Redshift over to an S3 bucket in the form of a CSV file, but it doesn't have any extension. I'll show you in a minute. I'll show my format. Have you tried storing files? Yes. So Parquet, we could store in Parquet as well. The only reason why we did CSV, it was more of a specific request from a viewer. The viewer that asked for this request was very specific, like, hey, we want it to be a CSV. I'm thinking the reason why is they want the viewer to be able to download it and open it up locally to be able to view the data. And because of that, that's why they wanted it in a CSV format where it's easy to open up like an Excel and stuff like that. So that was the reason that I kind of got out of it anyways. But you're right, dealing with file, like moving, especially large files, or not even large, but just mini files, and you want to deal with performance. Because I worked on this project, and that's kind of what we did. There was files moved out from AWS S3 bucket over to Azure blob storage, and of course we moved that over in a Parquet file format. So of course it's a large. The tables that we extracted data from were large. They had like a few million records. I mean, they were not crazy large, of course, but they're still maybe like 10, 15 million rows or whatever. So of course we extracted it out in Parquet. We're using Synapse in Azure to be able to, SQL serverless to be able to query these Parquet files. So we kind of built some views from the external tables and all of that stuff. So CSV doesn't have metadata, and again, it's not compressed. So I agree. I totally agree. I would not put it in a CSV file. Like, that is not my preference to do it that way. The only reason why I would upload an S3 bucket as a CSV file is because that's how I got it. But even then, you could load it more in a zip format and process it that way. And in this case, when it comes to exporting out of Redshift out of S3 bucket, again, I'm with you. Like, CSV probably, I don't think it's the ideal option. It was just more of a request from a specific viewer. They were like, yeah, they want it in a CSV. I don't think it's a large format file that they're dealing with. I believe he wanted something like top 100 maybe, or something like that. So it's really a small data set. So it's not big. So I mean, I don't think it matters too much. But again, when you're dealing with big files, without doubt, I mean, it really wouldn't make sense to do it in CSV. Parquet is the format that I most likely would go with. Yeah, I agree with that. CSV doesn't have metadata. Yep, nope, it doesn't. Loading and reloading, reading Parquet, it is fast, and that's kind of the project that I worked on, where we migrated data out of. It actually came out of Redshift, and I believe S3, but some of the file came out of Redshift. So I think the process is, from Redshift, it went to an S3 bucket. From S3, then it got sent over to Azure storage blob as a Parquet format, because that's how it got saved in the S3 bucket as a Parquet. So it went to add the Parquet format to Azure storage, and then from there we use Synapse. We connected to it via SQL serverless instance, and then that's kind of where we built some external tables, calling these folders that had all the Parquet files, and of course, be able to query it and kind of build views and other stuff off of that. So that's kind of like that product. But we were dealing with tables that were like a few million records each. I think this request was something a little bit more smaller. And let me go ahead and log in. I'm going to log into AWS right quick, and then I'll share my screen. Here it goes. It is. So, like, especially when you're dealing with, like, what I like to consider non-technical people, more like just data people, but that are not technical, at least to my experience anyways, they're not good on using JSON files, Parquet file. Like, these formats, for them, it's very challenging to use. CSV, on the other hand, they like because you could open up an Excel, and, of course, it kind of, looks like any traditional Excel spreadsheet, right? Of course, it's not, because, you cannot save all of the metadata that underneath a spreadsheet, or you cannot save all of the formulas, or all the other data that relates to an Excel file. But nevertheless, though, I mean, if they really wanted to keep an Excel, they could just convert it to an Excel and be fine. But that's kind of what it was anyways. So if I go back, let me see. S3. Where did I store it? I think I stored it under this folder. There we go. It was under unload. So under the unload folder, we had cells. And then pretty much this is the file the data that we extracted. I don't know how big the table was, but either way, it wasn't, as you could tell, there are no extension files. So I think the problem that he had, or that we had last week, was, even though it is data, like, it's a CSV file without a doubt, that it doesn't change the fact that, even though it doesn't have an extension, it doesn't change the fact that it's not a CSV. It just, when you open it up, I think that was the issue, right? It tells you which system you want to open it up with, so you got to ultimately specify which system, compared to if it was a .csv format already by default, the system would just open it up in Excel. And I think that was the kind of the I wouldn't call it issue, but that was kind of the request, like, hey, can we have it where it exports out as a .csv extension, so the user, they don't have to decide which program to pick to open it up. They just, double click, open it up in Excel. And so you're right, you could add it manually, but it really wouldn't make sense if, again, kind of going back, if you're dealing with mini files. But honestly, in reality, in this case, it doesn't make sense to go ahead and download each file. It's like, well, what are you trying to do in that case, right? So it really wouldn't make sense in that case. I believe the other thing he mentioned was, so I guess kind of stepping back, his request really was, hey, so we have a table. Let's say the table may have 1 million rows in the table. And his request was, well, I don't want to export out all 1 million rows. I only want to export out, let's say, the top 100, right? Because maybe we're dealing with 1 million customers. I'm not sure, right? But you're dealing with 1 million cells, and maybe they just want to look at the latest 100 cells, for an example. That's where he wanted. His request was, hey, I just want to export out the top 100. So like that, and I want to export out in Excel, not Excel, in CSV. So people like non-technical people could go and view it, and they could download that CSV and take a look at it. And the other thing was, he does not want it to be split out in many files. The request was, could we have all of that just in one file? And there's a way to do it. There is something we could do to kind of have it all in one file, Again, doesn't really make sense when you're dealing with a large data set to have a mini in one file. But in this case, it's a small data set. At least the example he gave me was going to be like, potentially, top 100 or maybe top 1,000, something like that, right? A small figure. So in that case, it's fine, not a big issue to have that all in one file. But I think ultimately that was like if I recall from last week, the ask was exported out from the database, have it all in one file, have it exported out as a CSV format, which in this case it's already is. This is CSV, but give it a .csv extension, so like that when people look at it visually, they could tell like, oh, it's CSV. Or when they double click on it, the app that they have locally would open it up as a CSV. So that was kind of I think the reasoning behind that. Now in this case, you could tell we have mini files. I don't think they want mini files. They just want one file and one file only. Let's see. We can read it using Python and save the extension. So you can, but there's really no need to do that because we could save it out under one file format as well. And we'll I'll walk through that real quick and kind of show you a little bit. I know I did it on one of my other processes. Again, the top end can be a variable. I mean, user can select in and top end. So one of the things that we end up doing, and I can show you real quick. So if let me go back. I'm gonna go to Redshift. I think, do I still have this environment open? There it goes. Yep, I have one node created. So go to Redshift cluster. Let me go to query monitor. Nope, not query monitor. I need to go to query editor. That's where I need to go to. Let's try query editor v2. This is the new one with a dark theme, I believe. Yeah, there it goes. This has a dark theme. So what we ended up doing, and this was kind of more of a workaround, but it works. What we ended up doing was, if he needed to export out like top 100 or whatever, what we did, I think we did it under publics maybe. I'm trying to think what schema. Yeah, we created a view. And this view, which is for sales, let me show definition. There it goes. We did limit to 100 records, right? So the top 100 records. So ultimately, based on the view, it controls the output on the top end number. So in this case, if this ever has to change, like, oh, we want to top 1,000, they could just come to the view, change the top 1,000 without really having to modify any SQL code or any of that stuff, right? It just kind of updating the view. When the job runs next time, it pulls the data, queries the data, is going to get top 1,000 if that's the case, or top 500 or whatever it is, right? So it's kind of more so controlled on the view side instead of the actual code side, which becomes easier because especially once you start deploying code, whether it be deploying it to Lambda or AWS Glue or whatever it is, then you have to go in there and change it. Where here it becomes a lot more easier to just update and change to the top number, whatever that is. But that's ultimately the go here, right? Like, all right, well, and I think we created a if I go to, not my bucket, let me go to Glue. There it goes, AWS Glue. I think we created a job here, if I recall last week. Did we create the job or no? You know what? Maybe we didn't create the job. So I did. We do have a table for it, which is this one right here, right? Dev, public, view, sales. But you know what? Maybe we did not create a job because we have this Redshift to S3 bucket. Or is it this guy? Let me take a look to see if it's this one. Let me look at the script. I'm trying to see if this is coming from the view or this coming from... This is coming from public sales. Nope, this is coming from the table, not the view. So this is the one that spit out all of the files, right? Because of it. So yeah, we need to create another another job, or I could just modify this one, either or. But again, I think the ask here was like, well, A, how do we get it to one file, right? Which is number one. We want to get this into one file. So let's see. So I'm kind of having to switch. I'm trying to get used to it, man. I have a streaming PC and my PC, like what you're seeing now with AWS. That's my first PC, but my streaming PC is ultimately what I was casting and streaming it to YouTube. Well, I have two keyboards, so every time I'm switching, I need to like move to the side. I need to get a better setup, or buy a little switch, or I could use one keyboard but to control two computers. I need to figure out how to do what I want to do here on that. Let's see. So I did this on one of my projects. I'm trying to think now on how did I do this. Because it's actually been a while, man. It's probably been like a year, maybe, where I did this. But I know there's a way where we could keep everything in one file. And also name the file, have one file format as well for the name. I'm just trying to think now. So I don't know if you have ever done that or not. I know I have. I had a use case for it once to do it that way. Man, it's been a while. I can't remember what I just can't remember what I did to make that happen. So that's what I'm trying to see real quick. Let's see. All right, here it goes. So what I'm gonna do here is, let's see. Okay, so let me take a look at, let me get out of this and let me go to let's see, what are my tables? This is the one table. No, this is not it. So what I want to look at here is, let me see. So let's see. So let me go to my job. I'm gonna have to go to my job in this case. And we could test it out with this job that we have already. I'm gonna go to scripts. Let's click on edit scripts. So it's kind of hard to see. Let me copy this. Let me copy this. Let me put it into a text editor because it's pretty small. Oh, this is, I think I already had a copy maybe. I don't know. Let's see. All right, so let's see, where would I put this? I'm trying to think. Would it be under data source? So there's the way to group files, but I'm trying to think though. I don't want to group it table name under its data source. Is that what you're looking for? Table name under the data source. So we have the table name over here. Well, this is where it's being unloaded. The source, where it's coming from, would be up here. Table name from catalog. So what I'm thinking, what we would have to do is so I think this create data frame would be create data frame, which we have from catalog, but what am I missing, man? I feel like I'm missing something. I'm trying to see. What I'm trying to do here is, man, it's been a while. It's been like a year or so that I did this. I wanted to generate one file, no matter how big the file is, right? At the end of the day, but one massive file. Now, again, ideally for the original request, it's actually going to be a small file, anyways. But for this example that I'm dealing with, it's going to be it's not a big table, but it's a few megabytes big in a way. The file will be a few megabytes. So what I'm trying to remember is, when it comes to the grouping, and I'm trying to think which. All right, let me see if I think I may have figured it out. Let's see. So let me look at it. I want to say it's going to be down here under our glue context right dynamic frame. Trying to think, is it under right or create dynamic frame? Maybe it's under create dynamic frame. So I know there's a way when it comes to when you're reading CSV files, but in this case we're reading it from a database, not from a CSV. Once you have the data frame, you can group it anywhere you want. So I know there's a limit that we could set on, probably going to be on our create data frame. In this case, it would be. That's what I'm trying to think here. So, because I think by default, I'm trying to think if it's under the right dynamic frame, right? If this is where it has a configuration to, you know, export it in a group size, right? Like it's a default size of the group size is a certain size, and ultimately that's where it needs to be. Then it needs to be changed. I'm just trying to think though. I know I did it a while back. It's just been a while. I don't know if you recall if you have ever had a need to do that. Again, I know that's something really don't, probably not needed in most cases to do that, right? Let's see. So I'm looking at, just kind of going over the documentation right quick. Man, it's just been a while, man. I can't remember. So I need to review over the documentation again. Let's see. All right, let's see what I could get. Right dynamic frame documentation. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. But really what I'm seeing here, I think it's going to be more so with this, the apply mapping, where this is where it needs to get set. Do you have any arguments that can limit or group the data? No, I do not. So we have our frame. Let's see. And ultimately what I'm seeing, it's for... It's more so for reading files. But that's not what I want to do here. I don't want to read a large full... Let me see. Grouping is automatically enabled when you use dynamic frames. Okay. Data sets have more than 50,000 files. Increase the value to create fewer larger outputs from the information. All right, let me take a look at this. Create dynamic frame from option, which again, that would be on this side, this aspect of it. There, set the group file in partition and to enable the group of file that was sent in Amazon S3 partition. But again, no, this is not coming from that. That's what I'm saying. It's not going to be that piece. This has to do on the piece where we save it. then you could have arguments while reading the dynamic frame. Well, so here's the thing. Right now, since this will be, in theory, this should be pulled in, like, not this example, but the other, the goal here will be we'll create a new job, and it's gonna call that new view, right? The new view, which is limited to 100, I believe, right now. So it's already being limited in the read aspect of it, where we're reading 100 records in. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to save many files. The exporting piece of it, right? The saving piece is probably going to generate 10 files or whatever. I don't know how many, maybe 5 files. But it's going to generate more than one, more likely, files, because that's how it splits it up. And of course, that's where you not want that. And I believe it should be under write dynamic frame options. Let's see. View is virtual table, right? Yeah. View would just say the underlining is just pretty much the table, but limited it to the 100 records, which is virtual when you think of it that way, right? It's not a physical table. Let's see. So maybe I think I may have found. But again, this is all coming from like reading it from a CSV, which is not what I want in this case. What's point of loading whole data if we don't need them? Are you mean like what's the point of loading data to Redshift, or what's the point of unloading data from Redshift? I think in this scenario, what it is, the job is bringing data over from SharePoint to Redshift, right? So this is kind of like the request from the user: bring data over from Redshift, from SharePoint over to an S3 bucket, and then AWS Glue would run the ETL process and load that over to Redshift. Now, the data itself could be, I don't know, thousands, millions, or whatever records total. But he wants the reverse aspect of it. Like, okay, after we load data to Redshift, well, now I want to be able to unload, right, export from Redshift out to S3 a small data set, right, like a top 100, for example. And ultimately, that file would be, he wants it in a CSV file, more so because the people that are going to be reading it are not technical people. So they could open it up in Excel and, manipulate it or aggregate it, do whatever they want to do with it, pretty much. So that's the whole, I think the whole point on that piece, where it could be millions of records going in, but only a small data set coming out to report like the 100 newest cells or the top cells or something, right, where it's limited to like X amount. Now, again, there's other options to do that, to be honest with you, like easily add some kind of BI interface, Tableau, Power BI, things of that nature, to like, again, get the same results. So again, kind of going back, are there better options? Are there other stuff that can do? Without a doubt, man, for sure, without a doubt. But again, I think in this case, it's more the user, what they're seeking or what they're asking for was kind of that. And I believe it was for that reason that I just kind of mentioned, where it could be millions of files, like records going in, but only a small amount coming out for the purpose of operations. But I'm not, again, the details to how they're going to use, I'm not exactly sure. I'm using an example, like it could be like, the 100 newest cells or something like that. It just depends on how they want to view it. Sam. Hey, what's up, Sam? What's up? How you doing, man? How's everything going? How's your Friday night going so far? Again, just here, like always, on a Friday, we're talking Python, AWS Glue. We're trying to solve this issue. I know I've done it before, but man, I just cannot remember how I did it. So I'm trying to kind of go back and get, try to remember on how I did this before. Um, Top 100 records based on. In our example, is literally the newest 100 records. I think in a real world scenario, it could be something like, like the top 100 clients, right? Based on revenue or based on company size or, based on sales, how much sales these customers bring in or something like that. That would be probably a little bit more realistic, I guess. Um, but the person that actually asked that question, I don't think they're on here. No, they may not be on here. I think he sent me a message. He may jump in. He was, I think, gonna jump in late or something. But doing great here Saturday morning. Yeah, man, I keep forgetting. It's already Saturday morning for y'all. It's still Friday night for me. It is what, 9:45 p.m. my time. So for me, it's still nighttime. Actually, and earlier today, man, it probably would have been what, nighttime for you, I guess. I had a stream earlier on Twitch, so that's what I was mentioning earlier. So if you're ever, I had some giveaways. Gave away some DDR5 RAM, a Razer mouse, stuff like that. So, but yeah, it was good, man. It was a good stream. A lot of people joined. It was very fun. I was playing some Halo Infinite, and again gave away some hardware. It was fun, dude. I gotta say, it was fun. I had fun. A lot of people were on there. Good vibes. It was fun overall, and I enjoyed it for sure. Um, and that's something new. I have done give. Oh yeah, also too about giveaway. Just since you're on here too, just FYI. Next Friday. Next Friday would be my end of the month, which is when I normally do my monthly giveaway. So just FYI, I'm gonna be doing a giveaway. That giveaway was gonna make it different from the previous one. Is you have to just be part of the live stream, right? If you're part of the live stream, like the way you are now, then I would enter your name into the drawing, and of course, if your name gets picked, you would win the Amazon gift card. So again, that would be on this channel next week. Now for my Twitch channel, that was earlier today, but I'm gonna be doing more of that later on. Like I think I'm gonna try to do it every month as well, where I'm gonna be giving away, some more like hardware related to whether it be gaming or streaming, things like that, right? Like webcam, Elgato, Stream Deck, capture card. Probably give away some motherboards, GPUs even, right? As time goes on, but that's the plan anyways. But for this stream today, I gave away some RAM, and I gave away some mouses, Razer mouses. So it was fun. I had fun anyways, for sure. Let's see. So this is grouping input files, data format options. In Panda, we have an argument of head, or we can limit the number of rows that we need while creating a data frame. We don't have any such arguments here. But that would actually limit your data frame though. Like in my case, I actually don't want to limit the data frame. So they just assume that the query that I call on here, right? My table, which in this case is this dev public sales, let's say in this case, I don't want to limit that at all. I want to take all of that data that happens to come from that query, and I want to be able to save all of it to one file, right? So that's the thing here. Um, I think one of the things too, if we were to limit our data frame, what that means though is if you're dealing with a table that let's say is a million rows, well, you're gonna have to pull a million rows from Redshift over to the Glue service, which again it's a virtual environment, virtual machine, pretty much. You're gonna have to pull all of those 1,000 1 million records over to that other server, and then from there, Panda will be limiting your record count. But you're adding overhead because you will be pulling in a lot more data than what you actually need. Where I think with a view, you're actually limiting the results up front. So you're just getting everything that you need. I think now the only thing is, okay, how do we pretty much kind of like, I guess, group it, right? That's kind of, I'm finding in the documentation when it comes to grouping, but this is more related to on the inbound piece, not on the outbound, right? Like unloading piece, the exporting piece. Um, and that's the problem that I see here. I'm not sure why. Um, hmm. So let's see. So I think what we could do here is uh so what I'm wondering then is, so this data source that we have here, I'm wondering if this may be an option where we could do something like data source equals data source repartition 0. Oh, my bad, not 0, 1. And let's see if this helps to fix that issue. So let me go ahead and do this. Let me hit save. But also what I need to do, I need to delete all of these. So let's go ahead and delete all these files. Oh yeah, you mentioned how can I join it? So for the Twitch, I'm assuming you're talking about Twitch in a ways. If you want to join the YouTube, as long as you're a follower, hey, that's fine, and you're part of the live stream. It's gonna be next week, so you could join next week again, around the same time, and you could be part of that Amazon giveaway, gift card giveaway. So that's it. The only requirement is being a follower. As long as you're a follower, subscriber, I guess. Then yeah, I'll put your name in the mix, and yeah, man, see if you win the gift card. So let me go ahead and run this job. Let's run. And I want to see if this produces a file, just one file only. So let me go ahead and come out of this so I can see if this errors out or not. So far it's running. It shouldn't take too long. The previous job took 1 minute and 17 seconds. There it goes. So it's running. You need to probably give it another minute. If it runs without erroring out, it'd be about another minute. If it does error out, of course, it'll error out probably in a few seconds. Alright, so far so good. Okay, that's good. So one thing that I was reading is when it comes to adding file extension, like changing the name, I don't think we could do that with when we write a dynamic frame using the write dynamic frame option. I'm trying to think on how did I do it last time, man. I know I've done it before. I'm just trying to think how did I do it. I just don't remember. I know I did it. I just can't remember how I did it. That happens sometimes, man. I know it happens to me when I be programming. Like you solve a problem, you figure it out, you're like, cool, it works. Maybe a year from now, you need to try to solve the same problem, but now you're trying to figure out how the hell did I even do it last time. So now you gotta like try to rethink and refigure out everything. All right, cool. Let's see what happened here. Did we get one file or many files? Boom, there we go. See, one file. We got one file now. So see how now we have one file. So at least we made some progress, which is a 12 megabyte file, which before I think it was like what, like 600 kilobytes or something each file, and we had like a few files. I don't remember how many files we had, but we had a few. So this worked. This solved that issue. So now let's go back to scripts. So I guess let me go back to, there it goes. It looks easier over here. So this solved that issue. All right, so issue number 1 is solved. Got that solved, which is good, right? We got everything into being set to one file. The next issue is you can check the number of records. So now let's go back. If I download the file, so let's go ahead and download the file, and then I'm gonna open this up. I have a tool that I like to use called where is it at? Modern CSV, which of course is ideal for CSV files. There it goes. So where's my number at? So I have a total of 172, kind of hard to see in the bottom, but 172,457 rows. So if I want to confirm this, of course, let me go back to the database and let me run a query. In this case, it's under cells, the cells table. And then let me just do a count. Yeah, same number, 172,456. So our records tie out. Everything's, good. So at least, we confirm that everything got saved into one file, right? That's what we're trying to do here. So that's good. That solves that issue. So now the only other issue is there it goes. Well, how do we got it. We did, man. Got it. I guess it's all about trying to solve these problems. Even though here's the thing. I know you mentioned it earlier. Like, is this ideal to do it this way? It's not. Like Parquet, the way to do it, this and that. But sometimes you have just weird scenarios, or weird requests, right? Sometimes the business may ask for something that's very not as efficient, and we know it's not as efficient, but in the same time it's like what the business is asking for it. So sometimes you gotta just go with the business. And I think this was one of those kind of requests from the subscriber, like, yeah, but you have non-technical people, they want to look at the data and so on. So I think in those cases, at least that solved that issue, right? It gets exported as a CSV and it happens to be one file. The only thing that that we need to do is how do we add a extension, file extension. Do we have any other way of writing dynamic frames? Um, like you're talking about, there's another. So there has to be another option, man. I'm trying to think, and the reason why I say that, I'm reading documentation, and it seems like. So let's see. Please note that dynamic frame writer won't allow it to specify a name to your file, and will also create multiple outputs based on the amount of partitions created during execution. Now, the amount of partitions, we solved that up here. So we pretty much set one partition file. So that's why this is not generating many partition files. So that got solved. But it does say you cannot specify file name nowhere. And I don't really care too much, at least not right now in a way, to specify a file name. I'm more concerned about just adding a extension, a file extension out. But I know I have done this before, and that's why I'm just trying to figure out how did I do it, man. How did I do this last time? Let me fix this. Let me fix the view. Let me do word wrap. At least I could see everything now in the screen. Connection type, format, all of that's right. Connection options. Which is the pass. That's fine. So now let me see if I could find out how do we do that piece. How do we give it a unique name? Because there has to be a way, man. I don't. Oh, I know there's a way because I've done it. I'm telling you, man. I know I've done it before. It just been so long. I just can't remember how I even did it. Let's see. Let's see what I find here. I'm trying to see if I could find something. Alright, let me see what I could find. Let me try to do some more Googling and see what I could find here about the renaming. Or not even renaming. I mean, that's an option to rename, but I don't want to add a step to rename the files either. Like, generate the files. You know what? That's probably what I did, man. I'm trying to think. Now that I think about it, I wonder if that's what I did. Where as you generate the files, because you can't control that, but after the files get generated, then you have to iterate over all of the file that got. In this case, it will be just one file, but you have to iterate over, identify that file, and then rename it. But I don't want to do that either, man. I mean, more I'm thinking about it, I think that's what I did. I think that is what I did. We can read that file and rename it. Exactly. And I think that is, I mean, I'm just thinking about it now. That's why I'm like, you dude, I think that's exactly what I ended up doing. It is an extra step that I don't think it's needed, man. Like, it shouldn't be needed, put it that way. It doesn't make sense for it to be needed, but man, I probably did do that. That's probably what I had to do. Um, mm, so let's see. Let's see what I find here related to this. So we are doing this, and which will make the job slower. It would. It does make the job slower. That's why I'm not a big fan of doing that. Now, it may not be a big issue if it's only one file, right? Like in this case, we're dealing with one file. So because it is one file, it's not a deal breaker, I don't think, anyways, right? I don't think you're really going to notice a time difference per se. But I still don't like it though, man. And that's what I'm trying to see if there's a more ideal option, which again, for me, the ideal option is not to rewrite the file name, but try to set it in advance to something specific. That to me is what makes more sense to do. And that's where I'm trying to see if I could find something. So let's see what I find here. You know what? I think this is exactly what I did, man. Now that I'm looking at it, I think this is exactly what I did. This is what I did, man. I just thought about it. I did do that. I did have to rename it. So let me kind of show you what I know this will work, because I've actually done this. Now, again, I'm starting to remember little bit by little bit, and this will work. I don't think it's ideal though, man, but it is what it is, right? So they just, for now, they try to solve it. So Boto 3, which is part of AWS Glue already by default. So because it's part of it, we could use it. So let's go ahead and create the client object. So this will be Boto 3 client, and this will be an S3, because again, we're dealing with the S3 bucket, right? So the next thing is, let's call this response equals client dot list objects, and in here, this is where we will end up putting bucket equals, a bucket name. So I think we're gonna have to specify that. I don't have that nowhere up here on top, which is fine. So we'll specify our bucket name, and then the next thing would be prefix, and that would be like our subfolders and stuff like that, right? So in this case, we're just gonna we could. I know we're only dealing with one file, which is why I'm saying here is not a big issue. So we would do name, because we're only going to get one file only. Then it would be response. Oops, my bad. Context index 0 to get the first record. And then, of course, it would be the key, because we need the key, right? Once we get the key for the actual object, then from there we could do our client dot, we're going to copy object, you know what, I'm going to have to specify bucket name again. Let me go ahead and create bucket objects over here. So I'm going to create one called bucket name, and I'm going to call another one prefix, and let me change this to bucket name prefix, and over here under copy objects we'll do something like, let's see, Bucket equals bucket name, right? Let's see, client spell check. Oops. Nice catch. That would have been an error. I'm trying to think here. What it will be my new... I need to give it a new name. Let me add that in here as well. So let's do new name. Let's do new file name. Let's say for this case, because we're dealing with sales data, I'm going to call it sales just dataset dot CSV. We could get more specific. We wanted to add year, date, and all that based on when it runs. But for now, just keep it simple. It'll be sales dataset dot CSV. So we will add that over here on the copy objects. That would be our key. So what I'm gonna do is let's do copy source bucket and this would be the name, right, which is this guy here. And then the next one would be key equals prefix plus new name, right, whatever the new name is. All right, so I need to add my bucket name prefix. So let's go ahead and add that real quick. So if I go to my bucket, here's my bucket right here, right? Let me just go back, go to this. Let's copy this. This is my bucket. And this is under, the prefix would be under unload cells, right? So it will be unload cells. Unload / cells. I just want to make sure. Yep, unload cells. Got it. So you know what? I may have to put / on this one as well, since we're concatenating the name, the new name, which is fine. Where's my new name? Here's my new name. But you know what? No, I cannot add that on here. So let me add it to the file name. Okay. And what else? Let's see. So once we do a copy, let me try to think. We would delete the original name. So we would do a delete. Oops, my bad. Delete object. Bucket equals bucket name. Key equals name, which would be this guy here. And we're copying, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. I think this is good. So let me go ahead and copy this. And let's go ahead and put this inside. Let me go ahead and hit edit. Let's hit save. Alright, now that I hit save, before I run it, let me go ahead and delete this file. Right, let's get this. Oops, I don't want to do that. Let's hit delete. All right, so now that we've done that, let's go ahead and run it. Let's run this job. So let me make sure, hit save. Let's hit run. Let's run this job. And hopefully it runs without errors. Without errors, anyways. All right, cool. So far, well, it takes a couple of seconds for the service to start and then to run. So let's see if this solves that issue. Because if this solves that issue, then we're getting everything to one file, and then we're pretty much taking a copy and naming it to the file name that we want. Then of course we delete the old one. Is what we're ultimately doing here. Again, I don't like that you cannot specify it up front. To me, that makes more sense. Like, logically makes more sense. But I mean, like anything, right? If there's limitations, you gotta find workarounds. I think so. This workaround, if it works, it's fine because we're only dealing with one file. It's different, I think, like kind of what you mentioned. It would take more time, and it would take more time if we're dealing with many files. I don't know, thousands of files, right? For example, I don't know how much time it would take. That would be one of those deals where it would be, kind of do some time studies on it to see how much time is actually being added. But I guess we'll see. See, this one took 1 minute 17, 1 minute 16. We'll see how long this one takes. Errored out. Okay. So it must have errored out when it was trying to rename it. It had to. So let's see. Cannot concatenate string, not tuple to string. Okay, so that if the file was already in CSV format, doesn't it make sense of mentioning extension? So I did add extension on here. Not in here, right? The original file does not have extension, but we can add it. That's the thing about it. It won't let us. But when we do our in here, when we do our new name has sales dataset .csv, right? So we have this CSV extension for our new file name. So that's why we did add it to that. I'm trying to think now. No, I was talking about the request. The request. If the file is already in CSV format, doesn't it make sense of mentioning extension? Like, do you mean like mentioning like adding, like making sure that the file, right, the file in here has a .csv extension? Is that what you mean by mentioning extension? Or because you're right, the data here is CSV, so without a doubt it's already in CSV format, and that's not an issue if the file is already in CSV. And again, this data is not coming. This data is coming from a database, Redshift, so it's not in CSV format, right? Because it's all in a database. The starting point is, I believe, it's CSV first, from SharePoint over to S3 bucket. From S3 bucket, ETL process runs, loaded it to Redshift, and then there's another process that now takes it out of Redshift based on like the top 100. And then from the top 100, exports bucket name plus name. I guess error is coming up for that part. Yeah, we're getting an error on that piece. I'm trying to think why that's the case now. Let me see. Oh, is this it? Let me see. I think I know what it is. Yeah, when we download that file, the file isn't CSV format. It is. And I think that's the confusion. That's kind of why the request came in. Can we add .csv extension? Because visually, just looking at it, it may not look like a CSV format, but it actually is. Like I opened it up in the tool that I was using, the modern CSV application, which only opens up either CSV or pipe delimited or tab delimited files. And of course, we were able to see that properly. Do you have any suggestion to understand on selecting type of worker node in Glue? Is preferable for processing or standard? So what I normally do, because I have made the mistake where I had one of my projects that I was working on, like I'm managing the service for the client. We had like 20 jobs or so, man, around there running. And these jobs are running 4 times a day, right? So when you do the math on it, what is it? 4 times 20, that's 80 times a day it was running. Well, we had it initially at 10 workers. The G.1 X1 processor type, and with 10 workers, it was costing us about $1 per job, right? Just keep that in mind. That's how much it was for 10 workers at using the G.X1, about $1 a job around there. So when you do the math, well, maybe within $1 per job. Let me rephrase it. I think it was per day, but that adds up. It was, I think, DPUs. How much were we spending on DPUs? I can't remember, man. Maybe it was like 0.5 DPU or something like that. It was a bit on the higher end, like maybe 0.3, 0.4. But I want to say, let's say 0.4 DPUs per job, and it was really we had 20 jobs running. So I mean, every time it ran, it was $8. Well, this ran 4 times a day. That's $32 a day. That adds up when you look at it monthly. So we end up changing that to the lowest possible. We didn't change it to standard. Then we changed it to 2 worker types. And we noticed that it took about the same amount of time. Like, again, the 10 workers G.X1 was slightly faster, but not by much. I think it took maybe like a minute to run, where the other 2 workers for the standard took like a minute and 40 seconds to run, right? Or a minute and a half, something like that. So it took a little bit longer, but these were not time critical either. So it's like, for us, it was a no-brainer. Once we made the switch, man, our price dropped drastically. Like, instead of paying $8 or whatever, $30 a day, whatever the cost was, we're literally now paying, just a couple of cents a day. So way, way different. Again, what I would do, if you know what you're dealing with, your workload, the data that you're processing, try, start off with the lowest possible and then adjust. And at the end of the day, what it matters is how time critical you need everything processed. If it needs to be processed like literally no more than a minute or 2 minutes, then you may need to up the workers. The G.X1 and G.X2, that kind of depends if you're dealing with memory intense or processor intense processes. But if that's not the case, most likely you may be dealing with more memory type. If you're putting a lot of data into memory to be able to process it, then yeah, you may need to use G.X1. But again, even if you're using G.X1, play around with the workers. Like, start off the 2 of the lowest, and then go from there, right? Adjust and try to find a nice sweet spot that seems fitting. Yes, standard is cheaper than G.X1. And again, the workers, the lower the workers, the cheaper it is as well. Why do we need to add extension then? So the main reason why we had the request was to add extensions. If I go back to one of the ones that we downloaded, like this, did I download that one? Let me see. There it goes. So see, I have two files here, right? None of these have extensions. What happens is, well, let me rephrase it. This one has an extension, as you could tell. I don't need this file. This one has an extension, and this one does not, right? They're the same file when you look at it. The difference is, if it doesn't have a .csv extension at the end, from a user, right? Think of it from a non-technical person. They download the file. They're gonna double click. They're gonna be like, "Hey, I cannot open the file. What's happening?" And then it's like, "Hey, what's wrong?" I know it sounds crazy because you would think, "Come on, they should know better," but it's through. I don't know. It's for sure. I have experience with people that they're like, "Hey, it doesn't work," and they just becomes a big issue compared to if we add a .csv extension. If you just double click, it opens up in Excel. You're good to go, right? And then also from a visual standpoint, just by looking at it, most people know what .csv are. Compared to this one, you really can't tell what it is. Whether it's a JSON, whether it's a Parquet, whether it's a CSV. Just visually, you just can't tell what it is. I think for me, I don't think it matters. Like in my processes, I don't even worry about adding extensions, right? Because the process that's going to consume it, I already determined what it is, whether it be a JSON or Parquet, whatever it is. So it's not a big issue for me. Hey, start thinking it as some kind of virus. For sure. And and again, I have worked with operations in the past, working for like previous companies where I'm dealing with a lot of operation people, and you'd be surprised, man. There's a lot of operational people, whether even like sales executives or higher up people and stuff like that, executives, and when it comes to technology, man, they are not that sharp at all. Let's put it that way. They're not sharp. All right, so kind of going back to the issue. So we got an error message when we ran our job. And then what did it tell us? Cannot concatenate tuples. So I think I know what happened here. So I believe under the copy source, see I have bucket name, I'm doing plus name. So in reality, this should be I believe this should be a key value pair. So let me go ahead and add a copy source. It should be a dictionary, what I'm trying to say. So in this case, it would be one of the keys would be bucket. Then of course it would be bucket name. The other one would be key. Then of course this would be the name. So let me go ahead and replace this with that, right? So we got copy source. Let me scroll up. There it goes. And then the final piece where we have our key. This would be. I don't think we need. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't think we need this backslash. Right? I could be wrong, but I don't think we do. So let me just remove it for now. I think this should be fine. Alright, cool. So let me go ahead and copy this again. Let me edit my script. Let's hit save. Oh yeah, let me delete this file real quick. Alright, now let me go ahead and run the job. Let's run it. Damn, did I hit save? I think I did hit save. I guess I'll find out if I hit save or not. I don't remember now. I would say though, they got better on the error messages for Glue. It's more like understandable now, readable, like more specific. It wasn't like this, man. Some of the job that I created like a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, when we had issues with it, it was not that straightforward to like identify the issue. It's a lot more clearer for sure to identify the issue. Have y'all been using Glue for a while, or y'all kind of new to Glue? I'm always just curious, like some of how long people been using some of AWS and Glue services. I'm gonna be doing some more testing on it, like a little bit more advanced, and I'll be making videos over that. Like more advanced transformations, things of that nature within Glue. Glue's good for basic stuff without a doubt, but there's some advanced stuff that could be done. And so I'm going to be doing some testing and trying out some new things, and then try to see, some of the more complex items that potentially could be done with glue. Oh, it failed again. Let's see. Same thing. So this is the same error. I'm trying to think if I saved it, man. Let me go back. Let me make sure I did save my script. I'm kind of thinking if maybe I didn't. Nope, I did. I did save it. So that's fine. I'm new to this. Cool, man. Nothing wrong with that. Like, we're all learning, man. There's a lot, dude. AWS has so much stuff. There's a lot of stuff from AWS that I haven't even touched. Now, there's a lot of stuff I have touched, like Route 53 for routing. Your domain. I use that, of course. RDS for relational databases and stuff. EC2 I use. I mean, there's things, S3 buckets, Glue, Lambda. There's things that I have used, but there's all kinds of other stuff, man. Honestly, I haven't even touched it. And I want to learn it, but at the same time, it's like, well, damn, there's a lot to learn. Oh, man, is this... Dude, I put a comma here. What? Why did I put a comma there? I wonder if that was throwing it off. Let me try again. I literally just realized I had a comma right there out of nowhere. I don't know why, man. Why did I have a comma there? That makes no sense. All right, let me go ahead and save it again. Let me go ahead and delete this file. Exactly, dude. Exactly. That's how it is, man. You have to be honest with you, because there's always things to learn, man. Even the stuff that you're working on, like something new pops up, but now you're focusing on that something new, right? So you don't really have time to just start learning other stuff just to learn. That's how I have learned, to be honest with you, man. I learn based on what comes up. Like, as I work on maybe a new project, for example, maybe that new project requires a new AWS service that I've never used before. That's fine, right? That's where it's my opportunity. Like, okay, now I'm gonna learn it now. I gotta start reading the docs. This is my sandbox environment for AWS, so I'll start just playing around here and testing things out and doing whatever, and just kind of learn as I go. Then of course eventually figure it out and make sense of it. But what I'm trying to do different now than before, like let's say years back, as I'm learning something, this is where I'm starting to get more like, okay, you know what? Let me make a video of it. Because you know what? I may forget a year from now how I did something. At least if I make a video, other people could benefit from it. And on top of that, I could go back and look at my own video in the future. If I ever forget on how I did something, I go, hey, I made a video a while back. I remember now. And let me go take a look at that video on how I did X, Y, and Z. So that's kind of like one of the benefits I see now of, since I've been making these YouTube videos, I think it kind of helps other people out that are learning as well. And then of course it helps me out if I ever need to go back and remember how I did something. So hopefully it's like a win-win to everybody. So challenging, teach is a lot. That's the reason I love new challenges, that it teaches us so many. It does, man. It really does. Oh, it succeeded. No errors. All right, guys, we got no errors. So let's see if it worked. I'm going to hit refresh. Oh, it did not work. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I took away the backslash. Maybe it did work. It did work. There we go. See how it put under sales dataset.csv? So it did work, but the difference is I need to add my forward slash. That's what it was. So of course, I need to probably update this guy. But no, it worked though. It did what it's supposed to do. So let me go ahead and save this. And let me go ahead and run it just one more time. Let me go to sales. Let me delete this guy. Boom, we got it though, guys. We got it. So at least again, is it the more optimal option? Maybe not. I mean, because again, I think we shouldn't have to reiterate over the file to rename it and do all of that. Like, that's something we shouldn't have to do, but it's a workaround and it works. In this case, because we're dealing with one file, it's not a big issue. In other cases, maybe it could be a big issue. It just depends, right? But again, I think in other cases, if you're truly splitting up mini files for the purpose of doing like some kind of system to pick it up, there's no need to rename files. The system doesn't care what the file names are, as long as it's in the right format. That's all that the system doesn't even care what the file extensions are. Like, it doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't even matter what the extensions are. As long as the file is in the right format, whatever other type of pipeline process you have, it's going to pick it up, it's going to read it, and it will be 100% okay. In this case, though, it's just one of those deals where it's if the business ever asks for it, like, hey, we got a special request, we want everything in one file, we want it renamed as well, or we want the extension, or we want to customize the name. We want the name to say something that makes sense, like sales report, I don't know, 2022 07 29, right? Or whatever today's date is, or stuff like that. Then you could, of course, you add, that's where the request comes in to add it all. Boom, there it goes. Yep, we got it. See, sell dataset.csv. And it's the same size as the other file. So yeah, we got it, man. Yeah, but we don't have other choices. Hey, so sometimes if the business asks, well, you're right here. In this case, I still think there may be a way, but I don't know what is the so-called right way to do it, right? If there is one. Sometimes, hey, you just gotta go with whatever works. And then if there is a so-called right way to do it, over time, hopefully you find out what that is, and then of course you make your changes. But nevertheless, sometimes you just have to go with the option that at the moment. And for me, for right now, this is the option that I know for the moment on how to rename the file, and it works, and it's good for what we're trying to do. It's not a big deal. And let's look at the time. Let's just see how much time did it take. Did it take the same amount of time? I'm gonna assume it took around the same amount of time. I don't think it would have taken longer to take. So when we take a look at the time, it actually took a little bit less, right? 1 minute and 5 seconds. But the only reason why I think it took 1 minute and 5 seconds, to be honest with you, is I believe I probably ran this right after, right? Pretty close. See how I ran it like two minutes after? So I'm wondering if the VM was still up and running or something. So it never really like shut off. And maybe that's the reason why, it didn't have to spin up again. It was just kind of ready to go, perhaps. Since they are not providing options to rename the file, yeah, no, again, if I have, based on the documentation that I read, it says that you cannot rename it. It won't let you. So you're right, that I'm aware of. I don't think there's a way to do it. Unless somebody else figured out another way, but based on what I'm seeing anyways, there's not a way. What's the size limit for the individual files? So the way I have it right now, there is no size limit. It would export it out. So put it this way, if you happen to have a 1,000,000 row file, a table, it should export out all 1,000,000 rows to that one file. Now, and again, the only reason why it does that, because we added, what did we add? We added it up here, our data source repartition. We have it set to 1. So it's really not partitioning a file, they're just setting the partition to 1, which equals 1 file at the end of the day. If we were to remove this, then what happens is there is some built-in configuration where I believe it's maybe by size or something, where let's say if you have a 1 gigabyte file or a data source that's happened to be like 1 gigabytes, it pretty much takes a I don't know what the size is to be exactly how many like megabytes or whatever, but it's whatever it is, it takes that limit and it slices that 1 gigabyte file divided by that size, and it ultimately generates X amount of files, right? But again, if you want everything to be one file, which is what I did here, then that's kind of what set your repartition to 1, and then that would export everything to one file. I don't recommend doing that. If you're going to have a pipeline that's going to be processing files, you don't want to have one large file. That's not what you want. Ideally, what you want is you want to really be able to have mini files if possible. It'll make things a lot quicker. You'll be able to process, right? Your pipeline will be able to process more files at once if you have many workers working at once. So they'll be able to process many files at the same time. So again, it's not ideal to do that. But it's one of those deals where sometimes there may be a need, right? Or at least in this case, to export it out as one file. So if there's a need, that this is how we do it. Let's see. I mean, using extra steps. Yeah, again, we did use extra steps. It didn't seem for our case, right? For what we did, it wasn't a big deal. It didn't really add more time. It's not really, that much more time consuming. So it worked out fine, right? But I think it could be an issue, I think, in ways, if we're dealing with so also too, keep in mind the way I did it here, see how my index is 0, which is my first value. So I'm only picking up the first file, right? So if we happen to have a folder, an S3 bucket with many files, right? 100 files. This would only pick up one folder. I would have to build a for loop statement to iterate over each object, like get to each object, do a copy, pretty much what we're doing. It will be all part of the for loop to copy, then delete the original object, then can repeat the process. I think if we did that, it would add more time. I don't know how much time, but I know I'm pretty confident it's going to add more time for sure. So whatever that is, whatever that time is, I'm just not sure, but I'm 100% confident that it will add time. But yeah, Non got this figured out. So again, like always, because I know there may be a need for this one day, I'll be making a video over these, what we just did. And then at least now I have a video archive. So if y'all ever come across this scenario, you need to do it, you can go to that video, take a look at it. If I ever need to do it in the future, because I'm telling you, I did this before, I just couldn't remember how I did it. At least now that we've refigured it out, hey, I'm gonna have a video next time. So if I ever need to go back and figure out how to do it, I'll go watch my own video, and that will be my way to remind myself this is how you do it. So that's one of the good things now. Since I've been making videos, I can always try to make some to help myself out in the future. It's really helpful. Hopefully it is, man. I'm really do hope that some of the stuff that I've been pushing out does help some of y'all. Again, I will tell you right now, I don't know everything at all, man. There's a lot of stuff that I'm still learning. There's a lot of scenarios that I like, requests that I get. Even though maybe I have knowledge in Glue, I have knowledge in Lambda, or knowledge in, RDL, whatever, right? Different, services. There's some scenario that I get that I have never had to deal with before. So it's something new. So I got to now figure out, like, all right, how do we solve or accommodate for that scenario, right? Which is good because it allows me to now to kind of go in and start thinking, trying to figure out, right, how do we solve that problem? And then as I'm solving it, what I'm trying to do as well too, like, okay, now let me document it, right? Let me document it from a sensor. Let me make a video. So now the requester could go view the video at their own time, and hopefully I explain things properly. Then of course I could always go back in the future if I ever need it as well. Nobody knows everything. We're all learning. Exactly, man. Exactly. Like, without a doubt, there's a lot of things that I know some of my viewers and followers know way better than me, and that's a good thing, right? That's where I think we could all kind of learn from each other as well. So there's times even here in the live stream that I'll be like, hey, if y'all know how to deal with it, let me know, because I may not know how to do certain things for sure. But I would say this, if I don't know how to do something, I will always figure out how to do it. That just has all been my mindset. Like, I mean, I know how to do it now, and that's fine, but I'm going to figure out how to do it. And I think the reason why I'm very like strong on that is back in the day, I remember when I was trying to learn stuff, I felt like there was people that had knowledge, and every time I was trying to like extract some knowledge from them, they didn't want to share the knowledge. It's almost like there's this fear aspect of, well, I don't want them to know what I know, because if they do, they're gonna take away my job, for example, or they're gonna take away from me whatever I'm getting. And so they kind of, no, like it's almost like they started to share knowledge, but then they realized that I was asking too many questions or I was learning things, and they're like, no, never mind, I'm not gonna share no more with you. Um, and again, for me, that kind of sucks. But I saw that, like, you know what, that's fine. Like, you don't want to share your knowledge with me, you don't want to, help me out. You do, that's perfect. Like, you have the right to do that. That's perfectly fine. But you know what? I'm gonna go figure it out anyways. I'm not. You may not help me out, but I'm gonna go fix somebody. I'm gonna either find a YouTube video that maybe helps me out. I'm gonna just learn on my own. Maybe I read some documentation, something, right? I'm gonna eventually figure it out, and I do, most likely than not. If I really want to figure something out, I end up figuring it out. It may take a while, but I always figure it out eventually. But again, I have always, you know, when you have that kind of, somebody saying that, right, or kind of acting that way, for me, that's just more of a motivation. Like, you know what, I'm gonna make sure I go figure it out, and I'm going to go figure it out. Now, even if it wasn't even something important, I'm gonna go figure it out just for the purpose of me knowing, because you don't want me to know. So that's mindset. That is a mindset we should have. This is competitive world, of course. They're afraid of losing their value. Maybe, dude, but it's like, dude, they're so like, and that's the piece that I don't really get, right? It's like when people get fear, have this fear aspect. Like, let's say your job where you work at. Let's say if you work somewhere and you're a programmer, you're working with other programmers, and it's like, nah, I want my job to be safe. Like, I don't want them to know what I know, because then they could take over my job. Like, dude, that's not a good mindset. And I think what makes it bad is I don't think people realize this. When you have that kind of mindset, like, oh, I'm afraid they're going to take away my job, you're actually holding yourself back, because it's like, okay, if you're the only person that knows how to do that piece of development, well, that means you cannot really move on to other, maybe better opportunities, because you're stuck there. You don't want nobody else to learn that either, right? When compared to there other people that know it, and the opportunity comes up, you could easily step away and move. Companies will try to hold you back. Company will be like, no, well, we need you where you're at, right? Because you're the only one that know how to do that, whatever that is, right? So, and that's not good, man. And that's where I don't think people understand. Like, it's actually a handicap. When you have that kind of mindset, you actually hold your own self back from opportunities that can come up, So, recently I am watching your videos to improve my Python knowledge. It's really helpful. Oh, I appreciate it, man. Hopefully it is helping out. Over the weekend, I was waiting for your new video. Probably you were busy this week. I actually did get real busy this week, because there was a few things that I was getting ready for. Next week, I'm actually going to be out of office next week. So I'm going to be doing just kind of, I don't want to call it vacation, but I'm going to be doing some stuff like locally. So I was getting things ready this week before I was out of office. But over the weekend, I'm going to be pushing out videos like crazy. So I would say, without a doubt, Sunday and Monday and Wednesday, Tuesday and Wednesday, pretty much all next week, right? The next couple of days, you're going to start seeing a lot of videos start dropping. So expect easy in the next week. I'm going to say at least 6-7 videos to drop. So I do have a lot of videos in the queue, and I'm ready to start working on them and all of that. So I will be dropping a lot of videos the next couple of days for sure. But man, this was good, man. At least we figured out this issue. And again, I'm going to be making a video over this as well. So it will be there for reference in the future for sure. Alright guys, I'm actually going to call it a night now. It's about to be 11, getting close to 11. Man, like always guys, I really do appreciate it. Thanks for y'all guys for jumping on the live stream. It's always good, man. It's always good to talk to y'all here in the live stream. It's always good to solve problems like the way we did. And it was good, man. Today was been a real good day, man. And the live stream from earlier went good on Twitch. Everything went good here on the live stream. It always feels good when you solve problems, right? And that's kind of what we did here. We solved problems, and also talking to y'all, man. Always have fun whenever y'all jump in and kind of just talk to y'all, see how y'all doing, make sure all of y'all doing good as well. So it's always lots of fun, man. Again, man, keep on learning, keep on doing your thing, keep on expanding. If there's anything I could do to help y'all out, y'all stuck, need help or whatever, don't feel free to let me know. Be more than happy to do some research and try to help y'all out and figure out, help again, try to solve problems. 'Cause that's what we do here. It's all about solving problems. So again, guys, man, appreciate it. Thanks for joining live stream and see y'all again. Remember, next week I'm gonna be doing my giveaway. So if you want to be part of that giveaway, go ahead and jump on the live stream next week, same time. I'm gonna do my Amazon gift card giveaway next week. So I mean, if you jump on, hey, maybe hopefully one of y'all win. But just FYI about the giveaway. Again, guys, thanks for jumping on the live stream. Appreciate it, and peace.